Hey YouTube, it's Matt Sherwood. Welcome back. This will be part 2 of my public speaking preparation video series. I did a video last week and it was about preparation, physical and psychological. And then after I did that, I realized there's so many things I could talk about and tips and techniques that I could share. So I decided I'm going to do part 2. So this is going to be a little bit more on the mental side of things, how to prepare mentally. What's the difference between psychological and mental? I don't know, but this will be maybe more psychological stuff. And then also talking about how to warm up your vocal cords. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you like my content. I'm going to do at least a video a week, public speaking tips and techniques. If you like what you see, please hit that like button. Please subscribe and leave a comment below. What do you want to hear about? What do you want to talk about? Do you have ideas or other ways that you prepare? Please share. Thanks for visiting my channel, and without further ado, here is part 2. There are about 5 topics that I want to cover in this video. The first is dressing for success. I think is very important. The second, getting in the mood. Other techniques for how to psych yourself up. Vocal warm-ups, which is very important. I didn't really touch on that last time. And then the last 2 are arriving early, getting comfortable in the meeting room. I did talk about that a little bit in the first video, but I want to expound on that. And then how to stay present during a meeting or during an event and stay in the moment so that you can be mentally more prepared for when the time comes and your name gets called up to go on stage. So let's start. Okay, the first thing, dressing for success. This is a bit of a cliche term, but I think it's important, right? I personally feel more confident when I'm dressed more professionally. So it depends what type of event it is, right? It might be a casual event, and in that case, yeah, dress casual. I mean, you probably don't want to come in wearing a full suit or a tuxedo for an event where everyone else is casual. Maybe that makes you feel a little bit awkward. But I always feel when I put on a suit, which is rare these days, usually for a wedding or a funeral, or really that's about it. But when I put on a suit, I feel good. It's just something about it where I feel confident. And when I used to work in the workplace, even I would always dress a little more business than casual because I felt just generally more confident walking around the workplace. And all my companies were always very casual. So dress for success. I also like wearing a suit, and I'm going to tell you this secret. I like wearing a suit because the jacket can potentially shield me from some things that I don't want people to see. What do I mean? Underarm sweat. I don't know if you guys get that. I think maybe it's more prevalent for guys than it is for women. I don't know. But this is something that I've dealt with in the past, and man, I remember there was one, it was my buddy's wedding, and it was in Colorado, and it was outside in the evening, and it was really hot. I think it might have been July or something like that, but I was to give a best man speech, and no, sorry, groomsman speech. It was the night before, it was the rehearsal dinner. But I wore a shirt that was one of those shirts where if I was sweating, it was painfully obvious. The shirt was maybe like light purple or something, and then if I had any sweat, it would turn dark purple. And I remember I was excited about speaking and not really nervous about that at all. I was more just excited because I love my buddy and I wanted to share my thoughts about him. I had some funny stories to tell. But all of a sudden I realized, oh my gosh, I'm sweating profusely and it's painfully obvious. So that made me feel uncomfortable and insecure. So the way that you dress is important. And if I wear a suit, maybe that can cover up potentially some underarm sweat that I'm having. But there's another thing, which is there's a type of shirt that I like to wear. And they're normally athletic shirts. So they're the type of material that is like moisture wicking or whatever you call it, typically made by sports apparel companies and things like that. I like those shirts. It's almost like a tennis shirt or a golf shirt or a polo shirt, and it just has that material that soaks up sweat and distributes it and doesn't let it look awkward or funny. So those types of shirts to me are so valuable. I have about 2 or 3 of them, And they may be a little bit more expensive than, say, this is a Banana Republic shirt and it's not that type of material. But I just feel like I can be more comfortable if I'm in something that I know is not going to obviously show that potentially I'm sweating a little bit. And I just generate more sweat when I have to speak. And it's not, I think it's a natural reaction of the body. You're excited and you're pumped up, maybe your blood is flowing more, so I don't know the whole science behind it, but there is that business phrase, don't let them see you sweat. So, don't let them see you sweat. Dress for success, maybe, you know, depending on the event, wear a suit, but also pay attention to the type of shirt that you wear. Guys and girls, you can get these types of shirts at a lot of different places, and it can maybe just help you feel just a little bit more comfortable before you have to go up on stage. So think about that. I think that's important. Another thing, actually a friend of mine started a company years ago called Thompson Tees. Is my good friend. I used to go golfing with him in Los Angeles. Billy Thompson has invented a product called the Thompson Tee, and it is specifically for people that have underarm sweating issues. And the idea is you wear a t-shirt, a Thompson tee, that has just a little bit extra fabric or sort of padding underneath the underarm, and then it soaks up any potential sweat you have. They come in different colors and sizes, and yeah, I'm giving a plug right now, a little shout out to my buddy Billy. I own a few Thompson tees and they're great, so I highly recommend checking those out as well. Dress for success. Every little bit, every little thing counts when you're going out there to perform in front of people. So think about what you wear. Okay, the second thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is other techniques for how to get in the right mood mentally, how to psych yourself up. In the first video, I talked about positive self-talk and visualization and giving yourself that final psych up speech before the big event. But there's two other things that I remembered, and they're techniques of mine that I've used for years. Before an event, when I'm driving to the event, I love to listen to stand-up comedy. And for a few different reasons. For one, it puts me in a good mood. I love listening to comedy, I love laughing. So being, you know, put myself in the right mood, laugh a little bit, get that friendly, happy, you know, humorous energy running through me. And secondly, stand-up comedians are, for me, so important to listen to because first, they have a lot of vocal variety. When you listen to a stand-up, unless it's, say, Stephen Wright, who is a very monotone delivery, if you listen to someone like Patton Oswalt or Robin Williams or, gosh, I mean, most stand-up comedians have great vocal range. And they also have great timing and rhythm. So I love listening to comedy because it shows me, it reminds me that it's so important to have that vocal range in my speech when I talk on stage. It also reminds me to be playful, have fun. You know, humor is so important in public speaking. If you can get your audience to laugh, they're going to be having fun, they're going to lighten up, they're going to accept you more. So getting into that mindset of playfulness and using your voice to be funny and just having a good time, for me, it just puts me right in the zone of where I want to be before an event. Patton Oswalt is one of my favorites. Paul F. Tompkins is incredible, and his voice and his vocal range are a masterpiece. When I do speaking workshops, I often play clips of some of these guys to demonstrate the vocal range that they have and to, you know, to help people understand that humor is important. So that's one thing. Listen to stand-up comedy before an event. Maybe while you're working that day, you can have it on, listen to it in your headphones or whatever. And also listening to whatever music gets you fired up. So if you want to get psyched up, maybe you're listening to your favorite playlist that has all your high energy music, Eye of the Tiger, whatever, Karate Kid, I don't know. Okay, I'm dating myself back there, but whatever it is that you like to listen to that gets you pumped up, listen to it. Get fired up. You know, I have a list of songs that I use for running, marathon songs and things like that, Eminem and all these other, really high energy songs. Galantis is one of my favorite bands. Oh, I love Galantis, and it's high energy. So yeah, maybe before the event you're listening to that on your headphones, or you're listening to it on your car, your way to go to the event. Music is so important to help our mood, and it's just another little thing you can do to help prepare yourself and get fired up for that big moment. So what kind of songs do you like? What music do you like? What's your high energy playlist? Put it on. I guarantee that will help. The third thing that I wanted to mention involves your voice, warming up your voice. Now in the first video I talked a lot about how to warm up your body, how to loosen up and stretch out and make sure that you're physically as comfortable as possible before you have to speak. Things like massaging your shoulders and doing different types of stretching and things like that. Even yoga, getting loose and limber. But your voice also needs warming up. Now, if you know anything about music, you probably know that there's a lot of vocal warm-ups you can do that involve pitch changes. Now, I have a terrible singing voice, like the worst in the world. And so I can't really do what those people do. The scale, doing the musical scale, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I'm going to save you doing that because it's so horrible. But if you talk to a lot of speech coaches, they will have you warm up your voice. And you can do something with pitch and scale that is basically just taking an innocuous phrase, something random, and saying it at different pitch changes. So for me, I would say something like, okay, what's a phrase I've already used? Dress for success. So I would start off maybe low and say, dress for success, 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 dress for success. Okay, it's a little bit corny, but you can just take a phrase, something that is funny to you that you can use to kind of warm up your vocal cords. Now, warming up your vocal cords may be something that you need to do, or if you've been talking all day, if you've been in business all day before you have to present, maybe you actually need to rest your voice. But for someone like me, I personally sit at a computer most of the day and I don't talk to a lot of people, so I actually need to warm up my voice. So doing the random phrase at different scales is important and helpful. And just doing things like tongue twisters, if you want to warm up your voice, but also your mouth and your tongue, it sounds kind of weird, to be able to say a lot of different types of sounds, you can use tongue twisters. Something like, she sells seashells down by the seashore. There's a whole list of tongue twisters you can find online that can help you warm up. But my favorite technique for vocal warm-ups is a lot different than that. I personally like to take a film character or a film actor or even a stand-up comedian and recite a lot of the phrases that they say in the ways that they say them that have different range. So I'll give you an example. In one of my workshops where I talk about vocal range, Robin Williams is a favorite of mine, and I love to use him as an example. He is a master of his voice, and almost to the point where he's like an alien. The way that what he can do with his voice, guy has got had multiple personalities or something, but he was incredible. And so I take a couple of his phrases, and I like to just try and say them the way he said them. So in his one movie, "Good morning, Vietnam." So I have people say that and try to drag it out as long as possible. Good morning, Vietnam. So then you're teaching people to stretch out some of their words for different vocal effect, different emotional effect as well. And then one of my favorite movies, it's probably my favorite Disney animated movie of this era, Aladdin. The golden era of Disney with Aladdin and the Lion King and Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. Love Aladdin. And Robin Williams as the genie was incredible, right? Phenomenal. And actually that's one of his phrases was when he's the genie, he says, phenomenal cosmic powers, itty bitty living space. So you see, in that phrase right there, you're using your gestures, your body gestures, facial expression. You're using a low pitch, phenomenal cosmic powers, itty bitty living space. So in that, just that phrase alone, you've got a bunch of different vocal pitches, different tempos and styles. So I love saying things like that. There's another one where he's talking to the rug, and he says, what is it? He goes, "Yo, rug man, give me some tassel. Yo, rug man, give me some tassel." And he gives him a little high five. So things like that. I love those little phrases. Another one is, what does he say? He says something like, when he first comes out of the bottle, he says something like, "Oi, 12 million years will give you such a crick in the neck." Or something like that. "Oi, 12 million years will give you such a crick in the neck." So just saying, take some movie quote that you like, take some of your favorite animated movies, take a character and use those phrases and those bits to practice and warm up your voice. Or if you've been talking all day, maybe the strategy is to not warm up your voice and let your vocal cords rest before you have to go into a presentation or a speech. Okay, now the last two topics that I want to cover in this video about preparation have to do with getting to the meeting room early, arriving early, and then what you do during the meeting as it's leading up to your time to speak. So I firmly believe that getting to an event early is immensely helpful for a few different reasons. Now, I already mentioned in the first video that it's great to arrive early and get a feel for the stage, to get up there and just, look out at what you're going to see as you have to present. But I think equally as important is arriving early and mingling with people. So just getting there and socializing and getting to know some of the event attendees, or getting to know some of the people that have organized the event if you don't know them well before, or getting to know some of your fellow presenters can help to set you at ease. But go to the event as early as possible. Can you imagine getting there late, like arriving late, getting stuck in traffic? I mean, it happens, right? Traffic, and you never know what's going to happen. But the stress, your overall stress levels will already be up there. If you have to give a speech or a presentation, don't chance it by getting there late, right? Get there as early as possible and try to get comfortable. Mingle with people. That way, you can actually start to build a rapport with some of the attendees, and that way you're more comfortable when you get up there to speak. When you look out into that crowd, you see some familiar faces. You see somebody, "Oh, hey, I had a good conversation with them before it started. I met them before the event started." And who knows, maybe you could actually use some of the information that you learned from them while mingling with them in your speech. So that shows that that's more of an advanced thing, but if you can be present and in the moment like that, and actually incorporate some of the things that you learn from your audience during your presentation, that shows that you are a very sharp person, and you're in the moment, and you're a really good listener. So those are all big things and that can help you as you speak, and just it gives you more credibility as a speaker and as a general leader in the room, right? And so another thing when you arrive early is it could be valuable to be able to talk to the event organizers and making sure that every question you have is answered beforehand. Leave no stone unturned. Talk to the organizers as early as possible. Find out the speaking order. When am I going? What does the agenda look like? If they haven't sent it to you already, what does it look like? When am I going on? Who am I following? What type of mic am I going to use? Who's going to put it on me? When are they going to put it on me? When am I going to go over my final slides? Like, what computer am I going to use? What chords am I going to use? All of these things are valuable, and then checking off all these little things is very important. In terms of speaking order, I personally love to go first, or as close to first as I can. And for me, it's just, I want to get it out of the way, right? I have so much energy about speaking, so I want to get there and I want to deliver my speech, I want to kill it, and then I want to be able to relax and enjoy the rest of the event. That's ideal if possible, and maybe if you get to an event early and the agenda is flexible, maybe you could be the one who gets to speak first. And I personally believe that's a win-win. Also, for a couple other reasons, you never know who you're going to follow in a meeting. And so say you follow somebody who has a tone that is very serious, a mood that's very serious to their speech, and then you come in and you got these initial jokes that are just don't really fit the mood and the tone of the previous speaker. I mean, it's a rare case that might happen, but generally speaking, I like to get out in the front and get it done as early as possible. Anyways, those are a couple things that the advantages to why you might want to get there early. Leave no stone unturned. Write out a checklist of all the questions you have before the event. Get with the organizers as soon as you get there. Get those questions answered, and you'll be that much more at ease when you go to present. Another big technique, and this is the last thing I'm going to talk about today, is staying present during the meeting. And it dovetails from what I was talking about if you have to speak later in the meeting. I have a tendency to get caught up in my own head about my presentation. If say the event is 2 hours long and you are the very last speaker, for the first hour and 40 minutes or however long it is before you get introduced, you might be sitting there and you're going over your speech in your head, you're doing a final review, you're trying to run through things during this meeting. At that point, this is just, in my opinion, this is wasted energy. You need to be focusing on being present in the moment and absorbing everything else that is being said and being a participant in the meeting and not just somebody who is like waiting for their turn. So for a couple reasons, right? I think there's diminishing returns. If you've prepared well, if you prepare well leading up to an event, 1 hour before it's going to happen, going through things in your head is not going to help you, in my opinion, very much at all. If anything, it might almost even just take you away from your comfort zone and make you more stressed out. That's my opinion. You've done your work, you've prepared. At this point, you need to get into your happy place, you need to get into a space of zen, get in the zone, be comfortable, enjoy the moment, and try to listen. Because if you are in the meeting and you are participating in this event, whether it's simply just by listening to the other speakers or being interactive and asking questions of the other presenters, mingling with other people during the breaks and things like that, you are going to be that much more dialed in to the energy of the meeting and to the attendees and the audience themselves. So if you're tuning out, right, and you're just in your own head and you're going over your speech, you might miss out on an opportunity to hear something and then recall it in your speech. People love a recall, and that's a little bit more of like an advanced technique, maybe not that advanced, but if you are present in the moment, you hear something funny that someone says, you can recall that when you go up to talk, and guarantee if it was funny once, it's going to be funny again. I studied one of Darren LaCroix. He's the world champion of public speaking from 2011, I think, and that is one of his great little tips for humor. If something's funny once, it'll be funny again. So why not stay in the moment and listen? If something is interesting or funny, reference that in your talk. It shows that you're in the moment and you're dialed in. Another thing to consider, personally, if I have to speak last, if I'm one of the last ones to present, I like to be involved in the meeting somehow before that. It allows me to flex my vocal cords instead of just sitting there. And actually, if you're somebody who is challenged with nerves about public speaking, speaking before you have to present will put you just a little bit more at ease. So maybe in one of the early presentations, there's an opportunity for Q&A. Be one of the people that asks a question. Because if the first time that you're speaking in front of the group is an hour and 40 minutes into the meeting, then you're not warmed up. You've probably gotten cold. Your vocal cords have gotten cold. But if there's an audience participation, or simply it's a meeting where everyone is chiming in here and there with their thoughts and input, chime in, get involved, be a part of that meeting. It can help you with just your overall sense of comfortability. You've already spoken in front of the group. You've felt what it feels like to have all the eyes on you for a little bit before you have to go up and have all the eyes on you for a long while. Get there early. Talk to people. Mingle with people. Stay present in the moment. The second that you feel your mind start wandering when you're in that meeting, dial it off, dial it back. Get rid of those negative thoughts. The second that you find yourself obsessing over your speech or your presentation during that meeting, eliminate those thoughts. Tell yourself, I can't think about anything else right now other than what the speaker right now is speaking about. Be actively listening and participating. Even something like giving body language, positive body language to the other speakers. So if somebody is up there presenting, lock eye contact with them. And then when they look in your direction, nod and smile and give them some positive feedback. Why? Well, when you're up there speaking, they're likely to do the same. They'll reciprocate. People always tell me that I am one of the best audience members in the room because I give that positive feedback. I don't do it for applause. I don't do it to kiss the butt of the speaker. I just find that being in the moment and being receptive to the speaker, it just makes me feel more engaged, and it makes them feel more engaged, and so I feel like it's a win-win. Don't be looking down at your phone, studying your notes for the meeting. That's rude. Stay in the moment. Get dialed in to what that person is saying, and it can benefit you when you get up there to speak. Okay, that concludes this two-part series on preparation: physical, mental, psychological, vocal. What'd you think of the video? If you liked it, please hit the like button and please subscribe. I hope you're finding these videos valuable, tips and techniques for public speaking. I'm going to create them on a weekly basis, so please leave a comment about things that you think about the videos, things you want to hear, things I didn't cover, things you want me to cover, and I'm happy to try and make these more videos for you guys, make them as relevant as possible for you guys. It's Public Speaking Real Talk by Sherwood. Thanks for coming by, and I will see you soon.